Hello everyone, this is going to be a short video on how to build your first web page in HTML. So before we get started in Dreamweaver or some other code editor, we can use something as simple as Notepad on our PCs or TextEdit on our Mac systems. And keep in mind that to create an HTML page, you do not need anything special on your computer. You can do everything directly from your computer and use your web browser to interpret the HTML page. In the event that you want to learn how to program PHP pages or some other web programming language, then you would need to either download the software for those programming tools or upload your pages to a web server. But for the purpose of what we're going to be doing today, just using your regular text editor and your favorite web browser is completely fine. So I'm currently using, this is my Windows 8 machine, and I have Notepad open, and I'm just going to build a very simple web page so that it can help you with your first web pages so you can see exactly what we need to do. Okay, so I've opened my page. I've got an empty spot here, and the very first thing that we want to include on all of our pages is the HTML element. And the HTML tag is formatted this way. You just get in the habit of when you make that open tag, make that close tag. Now, one of the cool things about using the code editors is they usually complete your tag for you, which is nice while you're typing. Okay, so you've got your HTML tags in there, and then each HTML page is made up of two parts. There is the head and the body. Now, the head is where you put all of the information about the web page into it. So, for example, the little title that comes up in the web browser in the top corner up here where it says New Tab, that is a tag that you would define in your head element. Same thing with search engine keywords. Those are all defined in the head of a HTML page. We're not going to get too much into the different descriptors that you can put into your web pages, but we will be using the title tag. So let's go ahead and put in our head element. Again, I'm going to close that directly, and I'm going to put in my title. So this is going to be called my first web page, and I close that tag. Now, there are many ways to format your HTML code. Usually what you're doing when you're using a text editor is if you hit the tab, like I did here for title, it's going to go, quite a few spaces over. If you're using a code editor, you can control how many spaces you want that to be. Some people only like it to be tabbed over, maybe 2 or 3 spaces. Some might like it a longer amount of space, such as this. So since this is Notepad, I'm not going to get too picky about it. Okay, so I've got my head element, and then the second element is the body, and that is where all of your content will be displayed. So anything that you have between those body tags will be displayed in your browser. This my first web page in the title, if I didn't include that anywhere in the body, you would not see that anywhere on the browser other than in the title of the little tab that I'm using. It's also used for when you're doing Google searches. The name of the website that comes up in the Google search is pulled from this title. Okay, so now what you can do here is you can just go ahead and start typing your text. The best way to get an idea on how to use HTML is to first create a text page. So we're going to go ahead and use the H1 tag. And the H1, just like H2, H3, H4, H5, is a heading. And so it makes your font very large compared to what you would have for your paragraphs. Now again, you can define all these things in your CSS styles, but the default H1 is a very large font. So let's go ahead and I'm going to put, this is my H1 heading tag, and I'm going to close it. And so that heading is going to be large, and one of the ways that we use headings is to help our site visitors quickly find the information they want. So if you went to a web page and it was just paragraph after paragraph and there wasn't any headers, headings to break up that content, they would probably quickly leave. If you have lots of headings and you have things, what I like to use the term chunked. So you have this content and this material chunked in different pieces. It makes it really easy for one of your site users to come and see exactly what it is that they're searching for. Okay, and then we're going to have a paragraph tag underneath that, and you'll note that that's the P tag. So I'm just going to put a little paragraph. Okay, so your paragraph tag can be as long as you want. If you want multiple paragraphs, you can then create another P tag and something along these lines. I'm not being very creative, and so on and so forth. So you can keep putting those paragraphs, and then if you want like another heading, maybe I want a smaller one. So the heading 1 is generally your largest font. Heading 2 is just a little bit smaller. So I can say, okay, my goals, and make sure that you use whatever you use for the open tag for heading, you also use that same as a closing tag. Now, what I want to do is I want to make a little list of my, a couple goals that I have. And the list element is, you can either have an unordered list, which is the UL tag, or an ordered list, which is an OL tag. And the difference between this is an ordered list would have like 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. in order, and an unordered list would be bullets. So I want to have an unordered list. So I'm going to put my UL and then I'm going to close it. Again, get in the habit of developing by writing your opening and closing tag. And then I'm going to type the tag LI, which stands for list item. And I'm going to say, I don't know, travel to Alaska. And, I don't know, take kids to Disney World. Okay, so right now I've got a very simple page. I've got some paragraph tags, I've got a heading tag, I've got 2 different kinds of heading tags, and I've got my unordered list. One other thing that I want to put in here is a link for a website. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my favorite website is, and let me just close that paragraph tag. What should my favorite website be? So let's just say, I don't know, google.com. Okay, so if I just typed it in like that, it's just going to come up as text. You need to use the A anchor tag and type in ahref equals, and then put in the URL. Make sure to put those in quotations. And you need to specify that closing A tag. So you'll see this is formatted a little different because it's not just the A. So I'm actually putting in some extra code for that particular tag. And I can put in, I'm just going to leave it at that for right now, which is the URL for where I want my link to take me. Okay, so I'm going to save this now. So I'm just going to go up, and this is the important part. If you click File and Save, it's just going to save it as a .txt or text file. And we don't want this to be saved as a text file. We want this to be saved as an HTML file. So you're going to want to use Save As. And so you see down here, at least in the case of Notepad, it defaults to TXT, and we don't want it to be TXT, so we need to either select HTML from the Save As type. Now, Notepad doesn't have that, they just have all files. So we're going to select all files, and then it's asking you, okay, what do you want the file name to be? So instead of just naming it something, you actually have to put the full file name in here. So I'm going to name this sample.html. I'm going to click Save. Okay, so now you'll see that my page here is sample. And what I want to do is I want to view it in my browser. Now the easiest way to do this is to open up your Windows Explorer and go navigate to the directory that you saved this in. And again, you should have all created directories for your classes. And you see here I have two pages. This is my page, this one I was working on earlier, and the sample. And you'll see automatically it's associated with my default web browser, which in this case is Chrome. And you'll see it says type. It's a Chrome HTML document. Now it's actually just an HTML document. Now to view what this looks like, I'm just going to double click on it, and it is going to open. And here is my first HTML page. Nothing fancy to it. You see the H1 heading tag is much bigger than the H2 tag. Here are my paragraphs. Again, you can put as many lines of text in there as you want. Here is my unordered list with the little bullets. And then here is my link. My favorite website is google.com. And you can click on that and make sure it takes you to the website you want to. And that is a very simple HTML page demonstration on how you can write HTML code from your home computer without having any fancy software or connecting to a web server. Okay, hope that's been helpful.